Thousands of years ago, entire civilizations rose, flourished, and then disappeared. Cities that once held hundreds of thousands of people were suddenly abandoned. Powerful empires collapsed, and cultures that seemed unstoppable vanished into history. Historians usually explain these events with familiar reasons: war, famine, natural disasters. But when researchers began studying the timelines more closely, something strange appeared. Across different continents, different cultures, and different centuries, the same pattern kept repeating. And hidden inside that pattern was something that looked almost like a warning humanity may have ignored. Ancient Egypt lasted thousands of years. The Roman Empire dominated much of the known world. The Maya built cities deep in the jungle. The Indus Valley Civilization created one of the most advanced urban societies of the ancient world. These cultures had different languages, different religions, different leaders. Yet when historians map their rise and fall, a similar sequence appears again and again. First comes innovation, a new way of organizing society, a breakthrough in agriculture, engineering, or governance. This innovation creates prosperity. Cities grow, trade expands, knowledge spreads, but eventually, something else begins to happen. A slow shift that is rarely obvious at first. A shift in human behavior. When societies become stable and prosperous, their focus changes. People begin to assume the system will last forever. Generations grow up inside the system without remembering the hardships that created it. And slowly, the values that built the civilization begin to fade. Historians studying ancient Rome notice something remarkable. Early Roman culture emphasized discipline, civic duty, and shared sacrifice. But centuries later, those values had changed. Luxury replaced discipline. Political rivalries replaced cooperation. Public spectacle replaced civic responsibility. The empire still looked powerful, but internally, the foundations were beginning to weaken. One of the most fascinating discoveries about ancient civilizations is that many appeared strongest just before collapse. At their peak, Rome controlled vast territories. The Maya had magnificent cities. Trade networks stretched across continents, but beneath the surface, complex systems had become fragile. When societies grow too large, they rely on increasingly complicated structures, political systems, economic networks, resource supply chains. Each layer adds strength, but also vulnerability. Because when one part fails, the entire structure can begin to unravel. Some historians believe ancient civilizations actually understood this danger. In many cultures, myths and stories warned about cycles of rise and fall. Ancient Greek philosophers wrote about the degeneration of political systems. Chinese historians described dynasties rising, declining, and being replaced. Even indigenous oral traditions around the world tell stories about earlier worlds that collapsed. These stories were not just legends, they were reminders, warnings about the fragility of human systems, warnings about what happens when societies forget the principles that built them. Today, we often view ancient civilizations as distant and primitive. But in many ways, they face the same challenges modern societies face today. Rapid technological change, growing populations, increasingly complex systems, and the constant tension between cooperation and competition. The difference is that we tend to believe modern civilization is fundamentally different, more advanced, more stable, more permanent. But history suggests something else. Civilizations are not permanent. They are temporary structures built by human behavior. And when that behavior changes, the structures can change too. The true lesson of ancient civilizations is not simply that they collapsed. It is that collapse rarely happens overnight. Instead, it unfolds slowly, through gradual shifts in culture, values, and decision-making. Often the people living inside those civilizations never realize what is happening, because from the inside, the system still feels normal, still feels stable, still feels permanent, until one day, it isn't. Perhaps the most fascinating part of studying ancient civilizations is realizing how similar their stories are. Different cultures, different times, yet the same patterns emerge again and again: rise, expansion, complexity, fragility, and eventually transformation, which raises a powerful question. If ancient civilizations unknowingly follow these cycles, what patterns might we be following today? And if history really did leave us a warning, would we recognize it or would we ignore it? Just like so many civilizations before us,